The Oregon Trail and Territory by Krista, Dan, Jody, and Catherine. The Oregon Territory was an enormous tree-covered land that stretched from the Rocky Mountains to the Pacific Ocean. In 1819, 4 countries claimed this piece of land. Those countries included Russia, Spain, Great Britain, and the United States. Russia and Spain were the first to back out. That left Great Britain and the United States. At first, they decided on a joint occupation of Oregon, but that didn't last long. James Polk, the president at the time, wanted all of Oregon, but the United States wasn't willing to go to war for it. On June 18, 1846, the United States and Great Britain decided on a peaceful split of the land. It was split roughly in half and half, at the 49th parallel. This line still forms the border of the United States and Canada today. But many United States citizens were mad about this. They believed in manifest destiny. They thought the United States was entitled to all the land on the continent, and they saw the Oregon Territory as an opportunity to get more land.
Once the United States claimed this land, they sent Meriwether Lewis and William Clark and a small band of explorers to explore this new territory. Their expedition lasted between 1804 to 1806. They expected that more settlers would follow their path to move west, but it was way too rugged for the ordinary travelers. Later in 1824, a fur trapper, Jedediah Smith, found a better way to move west. He discovered the South Passage. This passage was low and flat, unlike the steep and high passes used by Lewis and Clark. It was a much better way for new settlers and their wagons to cross this new land. Smith was part of a group that was called the Mountain Men. The Mountain Men survived on being tough and resourceful. They worked hard and often lived in a very short life. But you could say that mountain men opened up the West. When they were searching for furs, they explored most of this region and found a lot of trails on the settlers. Also, their trading posts were turned into supply stations for the pioneers coming west.
The first people to use the South Pass were missionaries looking to spread their religion. They had a little success, but what stood out to them the most was the big trees and the fertile soil of this new land. In 1843, more settlers started coming to this great land. The pioneers often referred to Oregon as Pioneer's Paradise because there was no disease, trees were plentiful, and you could pick any farm you wanted. So they packed up their stuff and headed to Oregon.
The path the pioneers used to move west was called the Oregon Trail. The trail started in Independence, Missouri, and ended in Oregon. The journey covered 2,000 miles and lasted about 4 to 6 months, but it wasn't easy. There wasn't a lot of room in the wagon, so they couldn't bring much, and they often had to throw stuff out when the trail became too steep. People often saw the sides of the trail filled with furniture, china, books, and other cherished items. That wasn't their only problem people had to face. Disease was the biggest killer. Cholera was the most common disease on the trail. It spreads through polluted water that the pioneers shared. Typhoid and tick fever were also very common. Accidents happened on the trail as well. Some pioneers drowned in water crossing. Sometimes there was Indian attacks, but they were very rare.
Even though the life on the trail was hard, many pioneers attempted this long journey. They were looking for a new life. They wanted more land for their families to strike rich and for new opportunities.